As seeds of the Master Creator, I believe we have the innate ability to create the world we'd like to see for ourselves. The creative realm is a space where we deconstruct our minds and challenge our thoughts to transcending conversations. My name is Moses, and I urge you to join me on this journey. Welcome to the Creative Realm Conversation Series. Welcome back to another episode of the Creative Realm Conversation Series. If you guys are tuning in, it means that you guys have been on me with this journey for a few episodes, so I appreciate you. If you're just joining us and this is your first time listening, thank you. I appreciate your ears. We've been talking about different topics throughout this particular series. And I always say that I call this a conversation series, not necessarily a podcast, because I want to have genuine conversation with people. And also, I always talk to you guys about how it's not scripted, because I want people to be very genuine in how they answer my questions. I don't want people to have already prepared ideas and stuff like that or answers. So it's very genuine and very unscripted. It's just like having conversations with someone that you're close to, or a friend or whatever. And for this particular episode, we are going to be in conversation about colorism. And here with me is a professor in public health and social justice. She's also an entrepreneur. She's a small business owner, and she's also someone that I went to secondary school with, and we've known each other ever since we were like 9.
9-ish. I've known Moses since he was just 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
So, very back.
Yeah, way back. So I'm here with the incredible Jessica Puri. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
I'm so happy to be here. We have so much to talk about.
Yeah.
You guys just give me one of these and I'll keep going.
Yeah. So like I said, it's unscripted, but I do have questions that I prepare for my guests, because I want to be able to have a conversation that's seamless and we can go through different topics in even one particular conversation we're having. So it's just seamless in how we speak and all. So in conversation about colorism, I think that Nigeria society is a very colorist society. And I think it goes back to our history of colonization and assault of colonization and how that has affected us mentally as Black people. And I think that this is also universal towards Black people across the diaspora. It's not just us in Nigeria or in Africa that deal with colorism. I think Black people in the UK, Black people that are Caribbean, Black American people, colorism is such a thing in our society. And then Nigeria is also like a big export about bleaching and all of that. We see that in our communities.
We have posters.
Yeah, posters. Even growing up in Nigeria, you would see ads on TV about bleaching cream. It was just so normal.
Yes, and people would suggest it. They would ask.
Yes, they'll ask and do this. And it's quite interesting. I think for me, leaving Nigeria about when I was 16, because I talked about my journey in one of my episodes, going to America was when I became aware of the fact that I was Black.
Right. Because
we are raised in a part of the world where racism is non-existent.
Right.
So we don't carry Blackness as an identity, but we are aware of our skin tone, though.
Right.
We are aware of our skin tone because of being raised in a colonist society in that way. So. And I'm speaking as a dark-skinned man. I'm speaking to a woman who's also dark-skinned. And I also want this conversation to also highlight how colorism affects us differently based on our gender.
Yes.
I think that there's a layer to it that's a bit nuanced that we can go through. So I think that the first question I would want to ask is, when was the first time someone ever maybe pointed or made a joke about you being dark-skinned, if you can even remember?
I can remember it. That is a great question. I cannot remember, because it's been such a part of my identity. I remember being on the street and someone being like, "Hey, Blackie,"
Yeah. So you feel like it has always been there? It has
always been. I must have come out of the womb and somebody was like, "Wow, she's dark."
Dark. Wow.
But part of it too was many girls in the North, I was in the girls' brigade. So, we're marching outside, we're in the sun and all of that. I remember my mom complaining, saying, Jesse, you're always in the sun. I mean, sunscreen was not part of the conversation.
Yeah, it wasn't.
But hyperpigmentation is a whole other part of this conversation. But I remember being very young and knowing the sun might be the enemy here because I'm outside a lot and all of that. I just didn't know at the time that the sun just really loved me particularly, so it was giving me as much of itself as it could.
Yeah.
But as far as like the earliest memory, I can't even tell. This is really unscripted because I would have prepared something if I knew.
That's fine. That's the whole point. Yeah, that's the whole point.
Yes,
is that I want it to be as organic and as natural when I'm having conversations. So if you can't remember, you can't remember.
I can't remember. I will say though, I remember very early prayers I used to pray because I grew up in a Christian home. I still am Christian. It doesn't look like what it used to, but like my walk is really for me and like walking with the Lord. But I remember having a lot of faith as a child and saying, I know God loves me, so he wants me to be beautiful. So if he wants me to be beautiful, he wants me to be light-skinned. So I would pray very specific prayers. And then every morning I run to the mirror, I look at the mirror, I'm like, okay, it hasn't happened yet, but I still believe in God. And so
eventually you'll be light-skinned.
Yes. And then, so that went on for, I want to say maybe about a year. So let me use primary school. So it went on for maybe like primary 3, primary 4. At primary 5, I was like, all right, so I'm not going to be beautiful. So I need to be smart. I need to be funny. Like I need to have something that's going for me because like beauty is really not it. So right. So that's as far as like early memories of like forming identity around my skin color and all that. Like those were some of the thoughts that were going with it.
You say that, and I don't want to like push our conversation further, but the idea that you felt like you needed to do like something else, like be smart, be strong. And Jessica is like the smartest, one of the smartest people I know. Like when she walked in here, my younger sister saw her. She was telling her the story of like what she remembers about how it was like during our high school graduation. She was receiving every award. It was like Jessica. At some point, we were like, yo, Jessica, just stand here. Don't go back to your seat. And I'm like, so was that like a defense mechanism for you, or did you feel?
To some extent, yeah. I think the people in the street call me Blackie, so I could study.
Well, you're like, you know what? I'm Black, but I'm going to be smart.
You know what? Guys were not checking for me anyway. So
wow,
I'm
somebody
like,
the smartest person. That's incredible.
I will say though, like, I mean, there was the part of, wanting to make my parents proud and all of that. And I think I had the opportunity very early on to understand how my brain works, which not many people have the opportunity to do because I am not the smartest person. I work hard. Right. So I figured out that, it actually takes me a while to learn something. So I'll put in extra time because there are many people. I can give you some names now. I don't know. I'd like to ask people's permission for dropping their names. But I can give you names of people who are whip smart, that if they spent a little more time, I wouldn't have been part of the conversation.
Wow.
So
that's
I think
amazing.
I just learned early on
how your brain works. That's incredible. Even to that such a young age.
But it also came from like mild introversion too, so like I liked my own company, so I spent a lot of time alone.
Time to really learn.
Right. So
incredible.
I think that played into it.
Yeah, no, but your answer to saying that you don't even know when the first time someone had mentioned you being dark skinned is actually it's still an answer because it really shows how intertwined it is in our culture and in our way of thinking. And that's deep. That's deep. That this is something you've just always known. This is something you've just always had to deal with. This is something you've always been aware of. It's not like there was someone who bullied you or someone who mentioned and then you're like, oh, okay, no, it just happened to be how you just grew up as a kid.
Right, exactly.
And it's so sad as well when you think about it. I know. But and I also think about that as a dark-skinned guy. I don't know if there was one particular thing that someone has said to me that I was like, okay, I'm dark-skinned. I think I've always just known that I was dark-skinned. But I don't know if I had carried the burden as much. And I think that because beauty is something that a lot of times we attach to women, I think that women get scrutinized a bit more. Women get sexualized a bit more as well. So it's easier for stuff like that to affect a woman in a capacity that I don't know if it would affect a guy. And not to say that guys don't get affected by colorism in any way, but I think because of societal norms and how gender plays, I think it's easier to objectify women more. I think it's easier for that to affect a woman more.
You have two sisters who are also dark-skinned. Did you see differences in how you guys were approached about your skin growing up?
So Melissa is lighter than I think Faith and I will say are the dark skinned ones in the family. And because of our age difference, I don't know if I paid too much attention to how, because I mean when I was done with secondary school, when Faith was entering secondary school, and we didn't really have a friendship until our adult years. So now we can talk about these things and I can have empathy in her own journey with it and stuff like that. But I don't think I was able to see those things because of the age difference. I was
Right.
not able to see.
That makes
able to
sense.
see. Yeah. The next question I was going to ask is, I think I know the answer, but did you suffer with comparing yourself to other girls and feeling less beautiful?
Ooh. So comparison wasn't necessarily an issue for me when it came to physical attraction. And I know that sounds like a weird thing to say, but like another person's beauty has never really stolen mine.
Something, yeah.
You know?
I
So
love that.
I love seeing a woman that feels confident in her beauty and all of that. So comparison in that sense wasn't necessarily it. Also because beauty was not something I saw as a strength of mine. Like if I feel like I'm competing with with someone about something, it has to be something I consider a strength, right? So like if I was good with like something with academics, the competition for me would be somebody that's equally good academically, right?
I like that, yeah.
So I mean, it's not always the best thing, right?
Yeah.
There's some humbling that has been done.
I can't imagine.
There have been to spaces where I'm like, let me just shut up and stay in the back. But as far as like physical, like feeling physically attractive and all that, comparing myself to other women was not necessarily a thing growing up. Now I will say where like there was like a level of comparison when it kicked in was when my husband and I got together, actually. So been married to the love of my life for 3 years.
Congrats, that's beautiful.
My favorite human in the world. So when it came to him, like with him, I knew this is the person I want to marry and all of that. But then there was like this weird, ugly thing that started to kind of come up for me that like, oh, maybe he likes all these things about me, but physically I might not be exactly what he's looking for because at the time, like we were friends for a really long time before then, like 6 or 7 years before we actually started dating. But because he was a college athlete, this was in the US, like the sport he played has a very specific, like the groupies, the groupies don't look like me, you know.
That's
so
fair.
right, so it's like there was like, you know, that part of me that was like, oh, like what if maybe I'm like all these other things that he likes, but physically I'm not quite what he is looking for. And I like to say there's no woman alive that doesn't want to think she's the baddest thing that man has ever seen. Right. So that was maybe the only time I can think of that like comparison, like when it came to physical attraction came up and it was ugly. And honestly, I prayed about it. It's like, Lord, like this feels unnatural. This isn't me. What is happening? And the Lord really dealt with it. Like, and side note, there was nothing he did while we're dating, engaged or married that would ever make me feel like that. Like that was fully me, and it was from an ugly thing in my heart about my darkness, you know.
That's incredible. Did you feel like you had already done the work to
I thought I did.
Anything like that though.
Yo, like,
but that's adulthood.
I did.
We think that we have like walked through some particular kind of like insecurities or like trauma, and then there might be something or someone that comes to your life that you be like, yo, I thought I had dealt with this.
Brand new.
And it just comes up and you're like, wait, okay. Let's pick up the tools again and fix this.
So this is why I said like I had to pray about it, because the first time that I had breakthrough about like feeling attractive and like acknowledging like I'm a beautiful person was in my first year in university. I was like somewhere reading my Bible, as you do. And I was reading Revelations 4:11. I was reading the NLT version, and it said the beginning part of it is like glorifying God, like glory to God and all that. And the second part of it said because everything that was created exists because you're pleased with it. And it was this, I mean, that's not a natural like, oh, my skin tone, but like it was this aha moment of like, if my skin exists, which, you know, back then it was like, oh, God loves me, so he would change my skin tone. And he was trying to tell me for many years. It took maybe about a decade, literally actually a decade to get it, because it was 8 to like 18, 19. Realizing if my skin tone exists, it's because he's pleased with it. Not just that he wants it to be around, he's pleased with it. I'm like, trauma gone.
That's incredible.
It's all gone.
I know for me too, I can relate to it on some level, because what used to help me deal with colorism was understanding that I was created in God's image.
Right.
I say like, but God created me now. So
Right.
if this is how He created me, then this is how I'm supposed to be. Like, what am I supposed to do? Do you understand? I think that used to like, and because I went to Sunday school, you know, all the time, they always talk about created in God's image, created in God's image. My Sunday school teacher always used to like hit that on the nail about being created in God's image.
Yes.
So I think that was like one of the things that really helped me into understanding that. Definitely. The next question I want to ask you was like, so when you were dealing with your insecurities in secondary school, you know, it's so crazy because I've always thought you were a beautiful person. I'm sure people are watching this thinking, how the hell did she grow up not thinking she was beautiful? Like, look at her. Do you understand? Like, I'm sure people are like wondering, but unfortunately, it's just what, you know, life and how it. Yeah. So my thing is, how did you define beauty then when you were younger?
Oh, that's a good question. I wish I knew these questions. These are good.
Take your time. Take your time.
How did I define beauty then? Man, okay. So I knew the people that I thought were beautiful, right? Like I thought my sisters were absolutely beautiful. It didn't occur to me then that people always said we look alike. So obviously if I think they're beautiful, then maybe I should, right? But I thought they were gorgeous. I thought my mom was beautiful. There are like people we went to school with that were lighter skin that I thought were beautiful. Like somehow, and I'm realizing just how dumb this makes me look, I didn't necessarily connect beauty with skin tone when I looked at other people. Because it wasn't just physical, right? It was like how this person made me feel when I was around them. Like, are they welcoming? Are they loving? Are they easy to talk to? Like all those things culminated into a genuinely beautiful person. There are also like men that I thought were beautiful. So it wasn't just like women are beautiful, like men, you know, men can be handsome, whatever. Like there are genuinely beautiful men too. You know, I thought you were a beautiful person. I was like, look how tall he is. Look at, like he has height, he has facial hair. Like look at all these things. You know. So as far as like putting into words what I thought was beautiful, I think I need to sit with that a little longer because
but for me it sounds like you define beauty it was deeper than just physical stuff.
Yes.
It was like you talk about how someone made you feel. I think that's also speaks to a person's character and how they carry themselves.
Yes,
you can find that you can find beauty in that as well. I think that's how you define beauty. I think that's fine. You know, it's so interesting in our agricultural class. I'm not going to say the teacher's name.
I was about to.
I'm not going to say the teacher's name because I remember
it just rolls off.
If
you know, you know.
If you know, you know. I remember him vividly. I don't know what he was teaching. I don't know because it's agric. Right. So it's about plants and growing stuff and all that. But somehow we got into genetics and children. Yes, we kind of derailed from the topic. I remember him vividly saying, so somebody like Moses now, he can't marry a woman that is dark skinned because their children will be too black. So you have to marry a light skinned woman so it can blend. I remember this.
I used to get vividly. That. Yes.
And I took that.
He said that to the class.
To the whole class.
Wow.
To the whole class. He was saying, to the whole class.
Disrespectful.
And I remember thinking, I carried that with me for a while.
Of course.
I carried that with me.
Who wouldn't?
Yeah, I carried that with me. I was like, there's no way I can marry a dark skinned chick. No, because I don't want my children to be too black. Yeah. So for the most part of like secondary school, even to like early, I know it's not good. Even to like early uni, I would always just be like light skin chick, light skin chick, light skin chick, light skin chick. But then once I got woke, I'm only getting dark skin girls. my newbie queens, like you know, like. But that was like my default to but I remember because we're so young, exactly. But we went to secondary school and the things that our adults say to us that we trust, we take it to heart and we hold on to it. And I remember our Agric teacher saying that to me and I really held on to that in my journey, which is crazy.
Let me tell you something funny that happened about with AI, right, on this the guy being darker thing. Yeah. So my husband is lighter skinned than me. Yeah. For a date night one time, the activity we were going to do was use AI to create like a comic strip of our story, like just one page, right? So like, you know, we're doing this together, it's all cute and stuff. We were using a fairly advanced AI, stuff. I'm not going to say what it is. I don't know where this podcast is going. But Mo, we used every description I could think of, but AI would not let me be darker than him.
Wow.
This wasn't a few years ago. This was last month.
Wow.
We're in December of 2024 right now.
Wow.
Like, this was last month.
That's crazy.
It was like, I mean, obviously AI is not necessarily creating anything new per se. Like it's going off what we feed it, and it's it's becoming more intelligent as it moves and all that. But like that idea of like the guy needs to be darker than the girl is so ingrained systemically that even AI has tapped into it.
That's crazy.
And there was no language we could use that would allow me, like black couple, African American couple, well, like African couple, whatever it was.
No way.
African couple, the girl is darker than the guy. African couple, the guy is lighter than the girl.
And
Mo,
it just wouldn't.
we tried everything. It wouldn't. It was
That's
hilarious.
crazy.
It gave him more hair. It gave him more muscles. It made me shorter. It made me dainty.
Not darker than, wow.
It said, God forbid.
But you know the crazy thing, because AI is based on what we feed.
Yes.
Yeah, but it also shows like even our biases, we're putting it into our technology.
Yes.
And that's
Absolutely.
what's shaping. But but at some point Google had to shut one of their AI stuff because people were calling it for being racist.
Yes.
If
you type in doctor,
then it
will
will show
a white person.
Yeah.
That was the time. I remember that.
That was the time. That really was the time. So it shows like our biases are still so ingrained in us.
Yes.
But which is crazy. I think our lives as Black people is really a life of learning and unlearning, because it's like we have to unlearn so many lies that have been told to us about who we are and where we come from. And we have to learn the truth.
Yes.
And I think that has been like my journey with deconstruction because I talk in my episode about deconstruction in religion, deconstruction in race. I think even deconstruction in gender, there's so many things I've had to deconstruct as a man and how society has told me to be. And I'm like, well, no, this is kind of toxic. This is not how I should behave because I am a man. I don't always have to hold everything in and be strong. Like being soft or crying is not weakness. Do you understand? Like I'm being in touch with my emotions. So I think as Black people, it's always about learning and unlearning. And when we dissect the lies that have been told to us and we go back to the history of like colonization, because this is where everything stems from, and slavery. And we think of the assault that white people have done to us. It's like our lives it's just a continuous journey of unlearning. Even today, I find myself having to unlearn so many ways of thinking and so many thoughts and my own biases and challenging my mind and stuff like that. So I think it's such a...
It's the little microaggressions of like, oh, you're pretty for for a Black girl, or like the moment that everybody realized when like white people said tall, dark, and handsome, they were talking about
nothing a Black person. Yeah, it wasn't a Black person that was that blew me away.
It's like, I'm so sorry. The rest of us that are Black had completely different people in mind.
Yeah. We're 100%.
Yes, I agree with that. It is a lot of unlearning. And honestly, like forgiving ourselves for the things that we subscribe to even in our adulthood. Yeah. That was one of those things that I will say I'm continuing to journey through, right? Like, what are things that I even believed about my identity as a Nigerian woman that, like, once I was out of that context and, was living somewhere else, what are things that I believed about my people well into adulthood that I'm, starting to unlearn?
Yeah, to unlearn. Yeah,
but you'd be proud of me. I did something yesterday.
Oh.
So yesterday we were in Benin. There was a whole thing. Coming back was a whole thing. Okay, anyway, we were in the airport coming back. The line was really, really, really long. Apparently, white privilege works everywhere, because these two white men were cutting the line. I was like, excuse me, did you guys just get here? He was like, yes, we've been... No, he was like, no, we've been here. I had been there since like... What time did we get there? Like 8:30 a.m. or something like that. This time that we're in the line was maybe like 10:30. We know, well, especially if you were white, we would have seen you. Yeah. This guy just got there. I was like, this is not the end of the line. The end of the line is there.
I know that's...
Where are you going? He was visibly irritated. I was like, nah, because you're not... No.
Rosa Parks, go to the back of the line.
What do you mean? Like, also, I live in a place where white privilege is alive and well. It's not in my own house. Anyway, long story short, he was like, I was like, where are you going? The whole line too was Abuja. Like, the other people that were going to Lagos were not going to be lining up for a while. So I was like, all of this is Abuja. He was like, all right, we're all right. and stuff. I didn't like. At one point, I was like, you know what? No, just
No.
let him figure it
Yeah.
out. But also, you're not cutting this
You're
line.
not cutting this
I
line.
went to like start whispering to the people behind me, like, don't
Don't let them go to
squeeze. Everybody's
everybody. They can't pay.
like, yo, we've been here lining up, very un-Nigerian of us,
right?
first of all, because do we
For how many hours now?
Right,
Like 2 hours.
exactly. We were supposed to be fighting the people
At
for
this
everything
point.
they did to us, but people were actually patiently lining up,
Wow.
which was nice at that point.
Yeah, but still,
It
like
was,
no.
yes, but I was
I
like,
love that. I know
like,
that's
wherever I
right.
can tell the story, I will.
Yeah,
I
you
stood up
should.
for us.
This was a great. I love when white people have to deal with uncomfortable situations.
Because
Yeah,
the number
as
of
they
times we
should.
had to cut the line.
Growing up, did you ever see images that looked like you as a child? Child.
I'm so sorry.
They're like, yo, Mo,
No,
come on.
that's comedy.
No.
No.
So representation was
It was.
no.
I mean, representation wasn't there. I mean, at the time, I didn't have the language to identify it. Now you had like a dark-skinned female actor at the time would be maybe like Messy,
like
Genevieve, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but then okay, so it's something I was hoping would come up at some point. Intersexual identities, right? So we're all many things, right? You had Messy, who was dark but she was skinny, right? And she was young, so she had that going for her. Like you can't just be dark, right? You have to be dark, and if you're going to be dark, you better be this, right?
Yeah.
So at least in my view at the time, it was like, Genevieve, she's dark, she's gorgeous, she has very beautiful features, but she's also skinny. She has that going for her.
Yeah.
So it's that
you have to do with being dark skinned and thick and curvy. Yeah.
Yes. But then also with trends, right? Now, it's more acceptable to be thick, right? The Kardashians told us it was okay, so we're doing it, even though that's
naturally our people have always been curvy and had all that. Yeah.
But even a little personal thing that was going on for me, I'm 30 now. He's known me since I was 9. My body has changed. Life has happened. Fibroid surgeries, all that stuff, hormonal imbalances. Also just being happy in my marriage, right? But one of those days I was trying on my trad and it didn't fit. And I had a full on just breakdown. Because it was in my skinny days when I made this trad. What business did I have? Mo? What business did I have trying this trad? But that day, my hormones just said, we're going to cry today. So do something that will trigger you. So I did that. And I was like, oh, I don't even have this going for me anymore.
But it's part of the journey,
Yes.
It's part of the journey.
Yes,
and that's fine. We have our low days sometimes, pick us back up and keep it pushing.
Exactly. You cry small, you get back. But to your question about representation, so where there was representation, it needed to be layered, right? Yes, the person is dark, but they have this other thing going for them.
I want to ask you, because you did touch on the biblical verse that came and change your perspective on things. And my question was going to be, what tools did you use to build your self-confidence?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have very different identities. There are different ways that we need confidence for different things, right? Some people can feel confident in their speaking abilities, but not so much in their physical look. So they would prefer radio, that kind of stuff. As far as my tools for building myself and feeling physically attractive, or feeling like I'm worth taking up space. The main thing was prayer, right? So one of the things I've learned over time is when I have a word from the Lord, my feelings don't have to prescribe my actions. They can describe it, right? Feelings are good, they're real. They should describe the reality of a situation. They shouldn't prescribe your actions. So having something that would prescribe my actions instead of my feelings was really huge, right?
Oh, wow.
So
That's
letting
so
thank you letting the Lord lead me in that so for instance that Revelations 4:11, that reminder that everything that exists because he's pleased with it. Nobody can tell me anything,
right?
God is pleased with how my skin looks, so for one, letting the Lord lead me with that, being surrounded by people who would actually affirm me, right? People that I felt safe with, who won't just patronize me, people that I could be you know what, today actually feels really crappy. I walked past the mirror today and I genuinely didn't like what I see and stuff. People who would be you know what, you're just having a day. Like, it's really not on you. Are you on your period? Are you are you having like things happening today that are stressing you out and like clouding your lens? Have you eaten? Have you slept? Like little things like that. And then consistency with those things, because as much as I would love to feel confident every single day and to give myself grace,
not
to
everyone.
just not,
some days you wake up and
right, but then do everything I can to be as consistent as possible with what's prescribing my my actions and the people that are speaking life into me.
That's incredible. Those are great tools. I think the last question that I would ask is, and you can take your time to think about it.
Okay.
What would you say to your younger self?
Oh my gosh.
Especially now knowing. I know. Take your time.
Oh my gosh, Mo. What would I say?
Am I hitting?
Yes. Oh.
Oh, my head. Oh, deep breaths. I'm sorry.
Oh, what would I say to my younger self? Oh my gosh.
Take your time.
Okay, I'm a verbal processor, so
it's okay.
Well, first I would hug her. Yeah, because there are times when like I didn't need verbal affirmation, just a hug. I would tell myself to have permission to have feelings. Like if I'm not feeling beautiful that day, to give myself permission to have those feelings, to experience them, and that like life is going to go on, like literally life will continue to happen. You will meet your people. Oh my gosh, you will meet your people. You'll meet your tribe, no matter how long it will take. Some people meet their tribe when they're 10, some when they're 5, some when they're 30, but like you will meet your people. Some of them will disappoint you, but like you'll pick up and you'll move on. I would tell myself that. I would tell myself that I didn't have to know everything. Like, it's okay. It's okay if you don't know something. Like, you can, like, it's okay to not, to like not have to be the smartest person in the room, because you have other things going for you. Like you can make people smile. You make people feel comfortable. Like your traumas have worked, toward like helping other people and stuff. And
it works out for our good at the end.
Yes.
Everything. All the bad experiences, the good and the bad.
Yeah, something else I'll tell myself. All those guys you wanted to date, don't do it. Your husband will come. Those guys taught you some lessons, but you could have learned from other people's mistakes.
But like I said, everything adds up to our good.
Man,
I always take every bad experience.
It really does. It does. And he says that all the time. But I'm still like, yo, if I could talk to my younger self, like, just honestly chill. Like you didn't meet him through those traumas. Like it was really like the way that we connected had nothing to do with the other people. Yeah. It's like I was, didn't have to do all of that.
Her husband is just across, like
he's right
sitting
here.
there, like I don't know if I should like God has blessed her with like a 6 foot plus nigga that used to play NFL at some point that is built like some muscle. So
oh my god,
everything works out.
Small point of correction: he did not play in the NFL. Thank God he didn't.
But he was playing. He was playing football.
Yes, he was playing football. Yes,
professional athlete. So,
my absolute favorite player. Yes, man. There are many things I would tell myself. I'm pretty sure once I'm heading home tonight, I'll be like, oh, I should have said that. I should have said that.
But I think you said everything I needed to. And I think that's why I just love how unscripted this is, because I want people to be as authentic, and whatever comes to them, like everything you have said, there's nothing else like left to be that's unsaid. Like what you've said is what you're supposed to say.
Amen.
And I know that people will listen to it and be inspired by it. To the young Black girls or Black boys who might still be struggling with this, I think that there's so many tools that you have highlighted that they can use and take to help build themselves.
Yes.
And I think that's the whole premise for me to have this platform, is to use it well to inspire people, to have elevating conversations,
Yeah.
to really change our perspective, challenge our
Yeah.
thoughts, and to just give people like a safe space to be able to commune.
Mm-hmm.
I always say, like, if, for example, like growing up in a Christian family, you know this, we used to go to Sunday school, Bible study, prayer meeting, but the whole point was to have community and
Yeah.
people that could help you.
Yeah.
Even though we have our issues here and there with like how some things might have been orchestrated, but the whole point of it was community.
Yes.
And I think that that's the whole point of me having this, is to
Yes.
have that community and use my platform well to just grow and to learn from each other, and to have someone like you come and speak your truth. For me, it's really such a blessing. So
Thank you
thank you
for
very much.
making
Yeah.
this.
No,
This
thank
is
you. I appreciate.
It's very sweet.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I just want to give a quick shout out to people that we loved and lost that made me feel beautiful. Freaking Stanley above
Oh, blessing.
and Jemima.
Oh, wow.
Like
Two
they were two
people.
dark-skinned people.
Yeah.
And like Stanley, oh my gosh, this is one of those like many people didn't know who I was friends with. Stanley had a special place in my heart because he was the first person to be like, "Don't mind them, Jerry." You know, like he's like literally like is us. Like we are, you are beautiful. Like
beautiful.
we were children, so like he didn't say it exactly like that, but that's how he made me feel.
He made you feel seen.
I was telling my husband the other day, maybe like a few weeks ago, I was like, man, I don't think I'm done grieving Stanley.
Wow.
Because that was like came out of nowhere. With Joanna, like I knew when she went into coma, like I knew all of that. But anyway, like those were two people that were fellow darkies. I was supposed to give a shout out to.
Yeah, fellow darkies. That's incredible. I wish I knew more about what you were going through, because we were quite close in secondary school, but we never really had that deep, conversations.
We're talking about music.
Yeah, we're talking about music then. Yeah, I think that's what connected us was music. We never really had, but I'm glad we're able to have this like full circle moment and really talk about this. So
Thank you for this.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you.
I cried today. My goodness.
That wasn't my intention, but I appreciate the honesty. I appreciate the honesty.
Oh.
Yeah. So thank you guys for joining another episode of The Creative Realm. I appreciate you for tuning in. God bless you guys, and see you guys at the next episode. All right. Bye.